Our guest for tonight is a huge social media personality, author of Guerrilla Mindset. He's also the filmmaker behind Silence and Hoax. And contrary to some what may think of him, he is actually the journalist that took down Jeffrey Epstein. This is Mike Cernovich. Thank you
so much.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Great to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show, Mike. And I've been following you since 2016, like probably a lot of people have. And I was just, interested in the fact that you started off as a lawyer, and then you became this sort of massive social media personality and sensation, and then you got on 60 Minutes. How did you, and now you've taken down one of the biggest pedophiles and child sex traffickers in the world that we know of. How did you go all the way from lawyer to, taking down these big sleazy billionaires?
Well, it was a pathway of knowing what levers to kind of pull. That's where the law background came in. The law background set in was there was no way to get a hold of the records in the criminal case involving Jeffrey Epstein, which was a complete disgrace. But then I found, I don't want to call it a loophole, but I found a legal mechanism that could be used to obtain records in a related civil case. And then that's why we sought the civil lawsuit.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like I say, you took down Epstein, but how did you actually do it? Did you know, because I know you're involved with Pizzagate a little bit. Did you know already this name was being floated around? How did you actually sort of find the breadcrumb trail?
Well, Epstein had come out in various names in various legal circles as somebody who got away with a crime. And I looked into it. I'm not sure what the exact year was, but sometime in 2016, when all those articles surfaced, like Jimmy Savile, all this other sort of stuff, and that was where this came up. Okay,
cool. Yeah, that's interesting. 'Cause I remember Jimmy Savile from the BBC and all the crazy stuff that was happening with him.
Well, yeah, there were just a lot of names that came up, and then Prince Andrew came up as having a connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
that's what was weird about all of this is just you would hear these names pop up and it all sounded kind of insane, and then you would look into it and find out it's actually true.
Well, what do you think about the Prince Andrew allegations?
The one of the Epstein's victims claims that he was there. Prince Andrew is definitely laying low. There was even that picture that one of the British tabloids posted where it showed him smiling like the day after Jeffrey Epstein
died.
But that could have been anything, right? You never know, but it was definitely weird and peculiar.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, so do you know what all Clinton's involvement with the Epstein stuff was? Was she was there a lot of stuff going on there, collusion between those elites?
That's the problem. Epstein died, and now nobody really knows. I remember Bill Clinton had claimed that he'd only been on the airplane a couple of times, and then it turns out it may have been 26 times. But then the 26 times might have been each leg, so refueling stops, and nobody knew. And unfortunately, it's a great failure of journalism that the media just hasn't been interested at all in asking him about it. I thought that was pretty telling and revealing that they show no interest at all.
Yeah.
I was trying to boost my frequent flyer miles. No, anyway. Really bad Clinton impersonation. Anyway, Mr. Cernovich, I'm a huge fan. The whole thing, you read the news, it's just blowing up with this Trump impeachment and the Biden corruption story. The whole thing is crazy. What is your take on all this?
Yeah, Joe Biden is on video in a way that can't be disputed, claiming that he forced a prosecutor to be fired for $1 billion. And now people are saying it's a conspiracy theory to claim that Joe Biden did a quid pro quo. And in fact, there's more evidence of a quid pro quo as to Biden than there was as to Trump. And with so much of this, we cover this in Hoax the Movie, which people can get at hoaxthemovie.com. But there's no follow-up with the Biden stuff. So maybe the prosecutor was corrupt. Maybe the investigation had been closed. Maybe. But the media just tells us we can't talk about this. It's just over. It's a conspiracy theory. The end. And that, again, it's so much in life is what the media won't talk about rather than what they do talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point, because people, aren't going to realize what they're not talking about because they obviously aren't seeing it. And that's why a lot of us here on this show and our viewers appreciate people like you. Even if, you're on the left or the right, doesn't matter. We get to see alternative voices, new voice on social media that aren't held back by the restrictions of these big media giants that will, they'll prevent stuff from getting printed because, political bias, but also because they don't think it's profitable, a whole bunch of other reasons.
Right. And that's too ideological on the mainstream side, and so you have to kind of counterbalance it and find out what's going on. I mean, Trump in a way has been doing that. His video, I think either yesterday morning or this morning,
the Biden ad.
It's done like 7 million views, and that raises again legitimate points. People can argue about it, but we're in a world now where we're supposed to not even be able to have that conversation and talk about it at all.
Yeah, and that ad too that Trump made is killer good. Oh my God. I was watching it, and it's just perfect. His persuasion skills and his team are off the charts. One of the best. I know you and Scott Adams talk about this a lot, how it's just, on another level. And that's just a perfect example of it.
Yeah, they're getting better. They moved on from the conventional, corny, campy political ads of the GOP, because their ads in 2015 and 16 weren't very good.
Yeah.
And as they've kind of watched people online, they learned how to do better videos. They learned on the internet, basically.
Yeah, last question I'll ask about the whole impeachment shenanigans is, like, what do you I look at the Democrats doing this, and I think of all the things they think they can get him on, they think it's this one. Like, why do you think they're, doing this now? Is it, to, be, like give the squad a little something to keep them quiet, or do they actually think they're going to get anything out of this?
You never know when you're going to break someone, and that's why they keep coming in and keep going hard. Is maybe they'll find something. You'll force an error. A lot of it is just like with any kind of game or any kind of sport you can play. Impeachment increases the pace of play as to your opponent, and anytime you're increasing the pace of play, and all this is a game. That's one thing I wish I had learned when I was a much younger person. I would have had a lot less anger. And now where I'm just cynically view this all as a game, and none of these people even care, is they're forcing Trump. They're pushing the pace. They're driving the narrative. They're trying to drive him crazy. And they also don't have any kind of agenda, right?
Yeah.
They have no agenda, no other way to fight him. So what they're doing is they're pandering to their fringe element, to the resistance base, because that's where you're going to get all your money from. We'll see whether it's going to backfire though in the general election. If it doesn't turn up something, it feels to me very much like going all in on poker. If it doesn't lead to impeachment, then Trump's going to win, because they've all looked very ridiculous.
Oh yeah, totally.
And they can't, because it's like they're never going to get the Senate. They're never going to get like this. It would take. I shouldn't say never, but it's like
never say never.
The odds are just so minute. So minute.
Like kind of going back to that whole impeachment thing, like, why do you think they're doing this now out of like all the times to do it? Like, Trump's gonna be up for re-election in like 12 months, something like that. Why are they doing this at the last minute? Is it because all their candidates suck? Yeah,
their candidates suck. They're getting trounced. The front runner was Joe Biden, who doesn't have any kind of chance really against Trump. They weren't accomplishing anything, and they created hysteria over Russiagate that we now know is one of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time, and certainly one of the greatest within my lifetime. And now they have to have something. They can't talk about the issues for 12 months. And besides, the only political issues they care about or want to talk about is pronouns. And I mean, I don't know if you saw that clip of Cory Booker talking to someone where she said, here's my pronouns. And then she said something like, I'm a vegan, something. And he had this like deer in the headlight look, like, oh God, what have we wrought, right? And the whole point of her question was saying, who's the most oppressed? That's where the Democrats are headed to policy-wise, and you can't have that for 12 months. They want push the agenda, and plus they're very aggressive and they accuse. That's right out of Alinsky is right. Alinsky says, and other propagandists, other Nazi propagandists that Alinsky no doubt got inspiration from, they would say just accuse, make them deny. So now yet again Trump is being forced to deny something untrue, but that's still at least giving the attack and giving the Democrats a reason to attack.
Well, yeah. So I know you brought up Saul Alinsky over there. I read Rules for Radicals a few months ago, and like one of the big things I found on there was use the enemy's their standards against themselves. And you finally see the right starting to do that now, and like this whole cancel culture thing coming out. Like, because I know people, laid criticisms at you for, James Gunn for getting him fired.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that tactic of using the left's own cancel culture against themselves and just cancel culture in general?
If tweets are going to be, if people are going to lose jobs over tweets, then why should the left get a pass for their tweets? They'll go, oh, well, we were just joking. Well, you said it wasn't a joke if Sean Hannity, or somebody like Sean Hannity had tweeted that 10 years ago, you wouldn't be saying it's a joke. But anytime something on the left hits as a joke, I mean, even a more recent experience or example is the Iowa beer guy. He tried to raise beer money and he ended up getting all these donations for a charity. And then a former BuzzFeed reporter who was working at the Des Moines Register found a couple of jokes from the guy when he was 16, and the jokes were even Tosh O references. But in the reporting on the guy who is now 24, Carson King was his name, the reporter left out that, they were Tosh O jokes. So you know how it is. You're watching a comedy special, you're tweeting jokes back and forth on your friends, you're 16, you live your life and you forget you have those tweets. Well, that got reported, and then it turned out that the Des Moines, Iowa reporter had tweets that were way worse than Carson King's, and he had a lot more. And so we reported on it, and he ended up getting fired from the Des Moines Register. But in an article in BuzzFeed, the little crybaby says, oh, my tweets were twisted out of context and used against me by right-wing ideologues. But so when he finds joke tweets from a guy when he was 16, then that's just he's a reporter. But when people like me find tweets from this person when he was working in journalism, Aaron Calvin, I think was his name, then well, that's not reporting. That's just ideologues. And go F yourselves, guys. Go F yourselves. We have to all live by the same rules. And if tweets are newsworthy, then they're newsworthy. If they're not, they're not.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I did see this story, actually. It was from, I think Scott Adams retweeted you on this. And it was, absolutely ridiculous what was happening. And, I read Rules for Radicals too, actually, just over the summer. And I'd say, if anybody doesn't get how the political game works, you got to read that book. Even if you think the tactics are good or bad, these are the tactics people are using. This is how the game is being played. And the Democrats, Hillary Clinton wrote her college thesis on Saul Alinsky. And I bet AOC has read up on Alinsky a lot. And I know you and Scott Adams, I'm going to mention him a lot because you guys point out some, but you guys sort of on the same wavelength on a lot of these things. You were both the first, really, people to predict AOC would rise to a star level from day one. How do you think she's been doing persuasion and energy-wise right now? And where do you see her going next?
Well, once her handler or whatever left, you notice her tweets don't get much talk anymore, right?
Yeah.
She was the it kid and clapping back, and her Twitter game was so strong. And then a number of people, myself included, started to think that she's a great actress, but or a great singer, and she needs somebody to give her the lines and give her the lyrics.
Yeah.
And ever since her chief of staff left, and he was a total, you want to talk about somebody flirting with evil. They both had come out in favor of Stalin tactics, repressive regimes, people who committed all kinds of genocide and atrocities. But I knew that she was a star for a number of reasons. One is it's sort of I don't want to be too solipsistic, but if I'm on my Twitter account and I'm seeing her tweets, then I already know she's breaking through, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, because I didn't seek her stuff out, and now she's breaking through. And then people are taking the bait in a very predictable way, like, oh, look at how dumb she is. And then I would read a tweet and say, actually, no, this isn't dumb. This is because people in politics tend to think that if it's a bad idea, it must be a stupid idea. But these are two different things. Communism is an evil idea, but it isn't a stupid idea because people like AOC want communism so that they can oppress and harm people and put people, so that they can be dictators. So that's not a stupid idea for them. That's a quite good idea. It's a quite intelligent idea. That doesn't mean it's not an evil idea, because it is. So often in politics, people go, oh, that's a dumb idea. This is stupid. This is moronic. Like, no, actually, they're playing you and they're drawing you out to get you to amplify their message, knowing that some percentage of your followers are going to like them. And then mimetically, they're getting this kind of notoriety. And her tweets were amazing. But then her chief of staff left, and now you hardly ever see them.
Yeah, and I noticed too, because I'd say on this show millions of times, but guys, this girl ain't stupid. Don't underestimate her. And when I heard her say at the border, she said that the detainees there in the ICE facilities were drinking out of toilets. That just put my antennas right up. I knew that is engineered. That is totally visual, strong persuasion. That is stuff that's killer.
Yeah, these people.
Yeah, it was a good visual, and it was what frustrates conservatives is that it's a lie. But I feel like very frustrated with conservatives who are frustrated. It's like a turtles all the way down, right? It's frustration all the way down. Like, this is what they do. They lie. This is what they do. This is the way they play the game. And then meanwhile, conservatives are crying about Trump being too mean. And I said, no, Trump is playing the game like they play the game. They play the game still even dirtier than Trump does. And they're saying, yeah, drinking from toilets. And then you find out, no, actually, there's a water fountain attached to it. It's a different description, but doesn't matter. The damage is done. People are radicalized, and people are going to – there was a guy, for example, in Washington who was trying to commit a terrorist attack on ICE, was trying to do a mass shooting, it appears, but he was stopped before he could really do full damage. You don't hear the media talking about that, right? Nope. There's all these stories, or even on the East Coast – the 3 members of Antifa were arrested for attacking United States Marines. And when they attacked one United States Marine, they called them SP blank C, which is a very bad racial slur for Hispanics. Yep. And no media coverage. It got like a little local press. Could you imagine if three members of the Proud Boys or 3 members of the College Republicans had attacked Marines and used that kind of racial language? And the irony, of course, too, is one of the people – you can't script this unless we do live in a simulation, in which case it is all scripted. Is one of the men who was arrested, a white man who called the Marine the racial slur, ran a D.C. account, a prominent account that cooperated with members of the local media and national media, and it was Smash Racism D.C. And now Smash Racism DC Bro is facing criminal hate charges against a Hispanic Marine.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Proud Boys defend themselves, and they're facing 15, 20 years in prison.
Right, and that's the problem too, and that's how dishonest it all is. Because if you don't read me, you wouldn't even know. I found the guy's name, Joseph Alkoff. You wouldn't even know that these people existed and that they were arrested.
Yeah.
Even though it is, and this is quite egregious behavior. And then, of course, when the Proud Boys get into mutual combat with Antifa, Antifa shows up, and the Proud Boys fight them back. Yeah. Then somehow the Proud Boys become the hate group, and then what Antifa does gets ignored, and then you fight it. Or even now, the ADL is saying the Antifa, they said Antifa confronts white supremacists. No, that isn't what they do. Yeah. They go looking for fights. They protest Dinesh D'Souza. Yep. They protest any kind of conservative thing. And that information then, though, of course, is all laundered up the charts. So then when Proud Boys get into a mutual combat situation with Antifa, people who don't really understand these issues go, oh, gosh, the Proud Boys, are they – they must be like the Hells Angels on steroids. And you realize, no, it's just a drinking club, and they, would get fights with Antifa when Antifa started those fights. So.
Yep.
Well, let me throw a little side note in here. So I like to drive to like upstate New York because I like to go see friends.
Yeah.
And so So one of the things I do is I cross the Tappan Zee Bridge, right? So and I've done this for years. But anyway, I recently did it, and I noticed that they changed the name of the bridge to Governor. Check this out, Governor Mario Cuomo Bridge. Right? That's his dad. Right? Yeah. That's the current governor's dad. I was like, look, so Tappan Zee is named after like Native American, like Tappan Zee Native Americans. So it's like, oh, screw these Native Americans. I'm gonna name this after my pop. Anyway, sorry about that. I digress. So this impeachment thing. So the whole impeachment thing, I kind of think it's a method for the Democrats to kind of indirectly take out Biden. For me, because I don't think that you can do this inquiry without, because too many people are going to dig up Biden. They're going to dig up his history. They're going to dig it up. They're going to blow it up. Nobody's going to let that go. Even if MSNBC and CNN turn a blind eye to it, there's too many people that are just going to like throw it in front of the media. Anyway. Who do you see as a front runner to lose to Trump in 2020?
I thought the media, well, not that I thought, I knew for a fact the media wanted Kamala Harris, but I didn't see that happening. I thought Warren was going to get it, and I still do think that Warren is going to get it.
Yeah, I was thinking Kamala Harris for the longest time because she had the right donors, she had the media backing her, and she had the right demographics, checkboxes all checked. And Warren, I guess maybe they're going to have to push her now because Kamala's campaign has fallen so much apart. Unless they're going to swing her in as a VP, I mean, I think they're changing their strategy right now.
I don't think that Warren's going to do too well. Like, you've seen Trump already has the nicknames for her.
Yeah, Pocahontas.
She has so much dirt, and like I heard there was a story that like all the Democrats, like really top people on Wall Street, they would not donate to her campaign because of what she was saying about some of these taxes she was proposing. Like it's insane. Like the only one I think who would actually have a decent chance against Trump would probably be Yang, and I still think he would lose face down because no one's gonna support like paying people $1,000 a month. But you get enough people out there who go and sit and watch anime all day that probably would enjoy something like that.
But Alex, what about Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, do you think Bernie sold out, Cernovich?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think Bernie. I don't think Bernie sold out. I think he hit his maximum exposure. He hit maximum name recognition, and there was no other way for him to go. So So Trump, for example, if Trump hadn't been a worldwide phenomenon known by everybody before he ran, he would not have won.
Yep.
And Yang is not going to be known enough. And that's why they have all these polling requirements. The media in collusion with the DNC, they're trying to make it hard for people like Tulsi Gabbard or Andrew Yang to get any kind of interest about them or any kind of notoriety about them. So then they have to know who you are. And then they have to like your ideas. Well, Bernie was a known entity, maxed out. Everybody knew who he was from the last race. Everybody knew his ideas, and that's why he hasn't been going up. Because what reason was there for him to go up? Elizabeth Warren wasn't nearly as well known as Bernie Sanders. She got a little bit of attention during the bailouts in 2012. In her Senate run, she got a good amount of press, but not that saturation press where everybody knows who you are and everybody knows what you're about. And now that she's getting that, the media, and of course that's why they tried to give that to Kamala Harris. I give an example of there was a guy, Ali Alexander, on Twitter who tweeted out something about her background, and I won't say it because I don't want to get your radio station flagged, but it was just along the lines of Kamala Harris used to advertise herself as the first Indian American senator, and that was her thing, and then she switched and pivoted to play up the really high African American angle, even though she grew up in Canada. So anyway, very complicated, but it wasn't the kind of comment on Twitter that should have got media saturation coverage. They covered it for 9 days.
Yeah,
every network, some obscure, relatively speaking. I mean, it's not obscure, but that certainly was worthy of saturation coverage, but that was the media's way to try to put her over. Oh, we have an excuse to talk about Kamala. Let's talk about her for 9 days in a row. But people weren't interested in her and her ideas, and everybody gets the sense that she was an evil person. She kept innocent people in on death row, and you just get the feeling that, okay, she's not gonna go rise up either. But Warren can.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden still might. Yeah, senile, but he's still in it.
They'll push him there, even if he's in a wheelchair. They'll still roll him in. But I've noticed that both you and Scott Adams have talked about this huge energy shift that's happening. It's either already happened or it's still in the process of happening. What is the energy shift? What does it mean for America? And, what are your final just sort of projections of, beyond Trump era?
That's a great question. I've been talking to a lot of friends about that too. It was about a year ago, and a lot of people I talked to independently noticed really strange feelings, sensations, body ache. Something just felt off. And I'm not a superstitious person. I'm not a religious person. In fact, I grew up religious and believe things. You believe what you're indoctrinated into as a child. Yeah. So I'm like the least superstitious person in the world. And then I'm 42, I guess, pretty soon. I started to just feel weird like a year and a half ago. And a bunch of other people just like me, they're like, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of this stuff. I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in Marianne Williamson. I don't believe in anything, right? Everybody just felt off. And then you had all these strange things like Kanye West coming in with the MAGA hat.
Yeah.
Right? What the hell? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
How did that happen? And then you notice increased radicalization, polarization, which is happening. More kind of terrorism, more people losing their minds because in an energy shift, and I call it that just for lack of a better word, but people do begin to lose their minds. And Antifa certainly has lost their minds, but on the other hand, there were people losing their minds. The Christchurch shooting, the synagogue shooting in Pennsylvania. There was a El Paso. So people are losing their minds in very bad ways. So people who are in tune, I think, to this energy, but are a little bit more mentally rigorous or strong, are going to feel just a little bit off. And that's how I felt, and that's how a lot of people, Scott Adams himself and other people who have, again, not superstitious people, we're not people who are even religious at all, just fell off. And then when you see all these things happening where people are just completely losing their minds, the energy shift starts to sound a little bit less weird, a little less superstitious.
So it's basically a shift towards clown world.
Well, it's a shift towards something, but we don't know.
Yeah.
It's a shift in, the unconscious, collective unconscious mind. We do know, for example, that because energy shift is hard. It's kind of like gravity, where gravity is there, but what is gravity really? You can define it. You can write it. You can write an equation. You can do your math for it in physics. You can make all your predictions on it. And the same is true in a way of energy. Like, what is it? You can kind of feel it. You can notice it, for example, or the effects of it. For example, there have been great. It was the revival. George Whitefield did these huge mass revivals. And you notice there's these major popular delusions, major popular trends. So right now, the world's going to end in 12 years. Sure. And these people believe it, and they're breaking down. And it's like a mass hysteria. Even though whatever your opinions are of climate change, the world's not ending in 12 years. You shouldn't be telling kids this. So there's something behind that in some way that we collectively and all at once tend to believe something. And because now the way media is fragmented, different people believe different things, but the energy is underneath it all.
Wow, that's an absolutely perfect way to end it. Where can everybody find you, Cernovich, at?
Well, the best thing they should do is watch my movie, hoaxedmovie.com, HOAXEDMOVIE.com, and get a feeling for what we're talking about, just media's narrative, and even in people listening in who are lefty. We made the film for everybody. So I've had a lot of people who are going in there with one expectation, and they're pleasantly surprised that it's a little bit different.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Cernovich, for coming on. We had a great time with you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you. Have a nice day.
See ya.
Bye.